Number 10, Kevin Harvick. If Kevin had won even half of the championships he was in contention for, he would be much higher on this list. Nonetheless, he still is 10th, and Kevin has been incredibly consistent through his entire career. Outside of Jimmie Johnson, he is the only man to make it to 13 consecutive chases. He has become the third most winningest driver over the age of 40, and Kevin is also closing in on becoming one of only 3 other men to hit 450 top 10 finishes. And if he were to win in another Cup season, he would put himself in a league of 5 other drivers to win in 19 or more Cup Series seasons. In total, with his 58 wins, 236 top 5s, 413 top 10s, 31 poles, 15,782 laps led, and 1 championship, his current score is 14,772.2. Number 9, David Pearson. Now hold on, before you go to the comments and tell me why this is wrong. David only ever made 574 starts, which in this top 10 is the least starts besides one other driver. Still, he is 9th all time, which if he had ran more full-time races, without a doubt would be much higher on this list. David is considered by most the greatest driver ever, and they are probably right. His skill on a car was unmatched, and his accomplishments may be as well. We always talk about 200 wins being the record, but Pearson at 105 is one that so many drivers try to get to. It's a record that seems grabbable, just barely out of reach, making everyone want to chase David. In total, with 105 wins, 301 top 5s, 366 top 10s, 113 poles, 25,422 laps led, and 3 championships, his final score is 14,802.2. Number 8, Kyle Busch. More than likely the greatest driver of his respective generation, Kyle at only age 37 has climbed to 8th all time. While his younger years were sparse of consistency, he has collected nearly 60 wins so far in Cup, tying Richard Petty's consecutive win season record as well. Kyle's already in the top 10 of all-time laps led as well, and has acquired 2 NASCAR Cup championships. While the one was under critical circumstances, I'll defend his 2015 title with that if running under the no playoff format, Kyle would have went back-to-back in 2018 and 2019. With 2023 on the horizon for him and Kyle ready for a new start in the 8 kart Richard Childress Racing, championship number 3 could be coming for him. In total, with his 59 wins, 228 top 5s, 338 top 10s, 32 poles, 18,281 laps led, and 2 championships, his current score is 14,989.1. Number 7, Bobby Allison. Already 7th on this list, you wonder what could have been if Bobby hadn't been almost killed at Pocono in 1988. The man had won his 85th race and 3rd Daytona 500 win that year. Overall, at age 50, he wasn't doing bad that season, and who knows how much longer he could have gone. Bobby got all of his accomplishments with only ever attaining 1 Cup title, which in of itself he almost lost, due to someone dumping sugar in his gas tank at Riverside. Bobby more than likely holds the record for most wins with different car owners, and almost the record for most wins over the age of 40. He is also the oldest champion ever, the oldest Daytona 500 winner ever, and 3rd all-time in laps led. In total, with his 84 wins, 336 top 5s, 446 top 10s, 59 poles, 27,556 laps led, and 1 championship, his total score is 16,782.6. Number 6, Cale Yarborough. Cale is the other driver besides David Pearson with the least amount of starts on this list. He only has 560, and he's 6th. With the least amount of starts in the entire top 20, he still has over 30,000 laps led. Only one other driver has even done that besides him. And Cale is also the only other driver besides Richard Petty to win 4 Daytona 500s. Another crazy accomplishment for him is just 3 consecutive titles in the 70s, which under that points format was unmatched. To add to the craziness of how good Cale Yarborough was, if that format was run in 1974 and 73, Cale would have won 5 of the 6 titles across those seasons, only being interrupted in 1975 by Richard Petty. Cale's accomplishments was and still are incredible. He easily can be considered one of the greatest drivers of all time, and in total, with his 83 wins, 255 top 5s, 319 top 10s, 69 poles, 31,556 laps led, and 3 championships. His total score is 17,427.6. Number 5. Dara Waltrip. Nicknamed Jaws for his inability to talk himself into a bad situation, for better or for worse, Dara Waltrip is easily one of the greatest drivers to ever be in NASCAR. Every year he ran, he led at least at some point during the season. He clicked off nearly 3 titles in a row in the early 80s, and became the only man to win back-to-back 12-win seasons in the modern era. He created and has been involved in a plethora of all-time moments in NASCAR. The Icky Shuffle in Victory Lane after his 1989 Daytona 500 victory, his incredible feud with Bobby Allison in the early 80s, his rivalry with Dale Earnhardt, and the incredible 1979 championship battle between him and Richard Petty for his first title and Richard's 7th. And then making his own team, falling into obscurity, and then being snatched back by Dale Earnhardt and running the 1 car, proving he still had it at 51 years old. In total, with his 84 wins, 276 top 5s, 390 top 10s, 59 poles, 23,134 laps led, and 3 championships, his total score is 19,315.4. Number 4. Jimmie Johnson. Possibly one of the greatest clutch drivers of all time. Jimmie, in nearly every situation when he was subject to seize the moment, he would do it. On top of his 7 championships, he won 5 of them in a row, consistently coming from mid-season obscurity to running top level for 10 races to claim it. Regardless of how you view the chase system and the validity of his title runs, he still would have claimed the 2006, 2008, 2009, and 2013 titles in a straight points format. And we can only imagine what they might have actually been able to do if they had planned for a whole season of running instead of just those 10 races. Jimmie might not be done yet. He could be returning in 2023 for some select races, and more than likely will be inducted in the NASCAR Hall of Fame next year, along with crew chief Chad Knaus. In total, with his 83 wins, 232 top 5s, 374 top 10s, 36 poles, 18,941 laps led, and 7 championships, his total score is 21,571.1. Number 3. Jeff Gordon. If you were to try and define a perfect career, this might be the definition. Every accomplishment, every year, and every win was with one team. On top of that, Jeff's only down years were 2008, 2010, and 2015, where in all those seasons he made the chase. And then in 2015, he went on to win his last career race at Martinsville and run for the championship at Homestead. He didn't win that championship that year, but he did grab 4 other championships, including 3 of 4 seasons in the late 90s, 3 consecutive seasons of 10-plus wins. Jeff also holds an incredible road course record, being the all-time winner at those tracks. He also was able to win at every track he raced on in the Cup besides one, Kentucky. And in total, with his 93 wins, 325 top 5s, 477 top 10s, 81 poles, 24,936 laps led, and 4 championships, his total score is 22,999.6. Number 2. Dale Earnhardt. More than likely one if not the biggest icon in NASCAR history, the reputation Dale Earnhardt built through his career is something still highly talked about now, over 20 years since his passing. He started his career winning a championship in 1980, only 2 years in the running full time. He then after that had some down years before moving to Richard Childress, where he in the 3 car would win 6 of his 7 championships. He defined the early 90s and became a legend at plate racing, putting numbers up that are still never replicated. His Daytona 500 win in 1998 still lives on as an iconic moment in sports history. At the time of his death, he was in the midst of building a racing empire. In total, with his 76 wins, 281 top 5s, 428 top 10s, 22 poles, and 25,714 laps led, and 7 championships, his final score is 23,312.4. Number 1. Richard Petty. When number 2 was announced, you knew who this one was going to be. And yes, it's very unoriginal. But statistically, it's undisputable. Overall, Petty is the best driver in history. All the stats I list at the end of each profile, he holds the record for. The most wins, the most top 5s, the most top 10s, the most poles, the most laps led, and the most championships. Now, is Richard in raw talent the greatest driver ever? Probably not. But you could also find someone not even on this list with probably more raw talent and driving ability than any of these guys. But Richard, for the situation he was given and the longevity he ran in, was absolutely staggering. Through various injuries, he would never stop and kept elevating himself all the way through his career. He has the most Daytona 500 wins, the most wins at a single track with 15 at 2 different places, and he stayed competitive for a quarter century, something no other driver has been able to achieve. In total, with his 200 wins, 555 top 5s, 712 top 10s, 123 poles, 51,514 laps led, and 7 championships, his total score is 30,291.4.